in the border crisis right now. That Lukeville port of entry is still closed this morning. It's been over 2.5 weeks now.
So that is, though, not stopping hundreds of migrants from flowing across the border. We've seen them and shown you the video here for many days. But this right here that you're looking at, this was the scene yesterday.
Over 17,000 migrants were apprehended within the last week. This is the worst week we've ever seen at the border for Tucson. Joining me right now is former acting DHS Secretary and Executive Director at the America First Policy Institute, Chad Wolf. Chad, great to see you. You saw what the border chief just posted on X about Arizona.
Since the beginning of September, the number of migrants crossing the U.S.-Mexico border has climbed, and it has only continued to climb. And it is now pushing border towns to their limit. One of the busiest spots is right here in Arizona.
Border officials say they are stretched thin and to the limit, trying to process migrants and rescuing them at the same time.
We've talked to different migrants from different countries, and some of these people have been waiting days to get to the next step, which would be transportation to the collection center. Now, photojournalist Mark Johnson giving you a look at what the border wall looks like right here in Lukeville. You can see the sections of lines that go down about the length of a football field. I mean, this is easily around 1,000 people, and there were more earlier today as we arrived in the afternoon.
The surge at the southern border. Today, top-ranking U.S. officials are in Mexico to talk about the influx of migrants.
They're meeting with the president of Mexico to see what can be done to drive down illegal border crossings, which are at record numbers.
There's been a spike in the number of migrants crossing the U.S.-Mexico border. According to federal data, Border Patrol agents apprehended nearly 10,000 migrants Wednesday. For context, agents averaged 6,000 apprehensions a day in October. Between August and October, there have been more than 200,000 encounters at the border each month.
As Congress debates changes in immigration policy, there's a new focus on a small town at the heart of the migrant crisis. Julia Ainsley is there for us.
Tonight, this is the new epicenter of the border crisis, tiny Lukeville, Arizona, where the number of migrants is pushing Border Patrol past capacity. More than 9,000 illegal crossings along the southern border just yesterday.
Look at all those people just walking across. It still blows my mind every time I see it.
And the fact that they're not just from south of the border here in Arizona, they're from all over the world. Tens of thousands of migrants have entered through the crossing over the past several weeks. Border Patrol agents in the Tucson sector, they are simply overwhelmed. Growing crisis at the border with the influx of migrants trying to get into the U.S. has now forced the closure of a major border crossing in southern Arizona.
Tuesday afternoon, it was group after group of migrants illegally crossing into Arizona. Many of them tell us they came from Africa, India, and like this migrant, Paul, Ecuador.
To Customs and Border Protection, when we came here, basically once these migrants are transported and taken into custody, the next step is processing at either the Ajo or Yuma stations before going to Tucson, and by plane or bus, they would be sent to another sector.
Mayor Jorge Maldonado says most of the migrants are being bussed in from Lukeville and other areas.
I hope Mexico collaborates in helping keeping the migrants from coming down to the border. And the other thing is, I think the biggest is, I hope the U.S. shuts the valve on allowing these migrants the freedom to come down and just seek asylum.